Julius' reaction is rough, has no idea that he was pregnant, but Draco's thoughts. So landing to the video will be the decision below going second month. So let's do this right in 3, 2, 1.
When 27-year-old Theo Ashford collapsed in the kitchen while
Let me see, let me rewind.
When 27-year-old Theo Ashford collapsed in the kitchen while making dinner, his
And
wife
it goes.
Naomi rushed him to the ER, terrified he was dying. But when the doctor pulled her aside and said, "Your husband is 5 months pregnant," Naomi's
5 months pregnant.
world shattered. Theo had been hiding something impossible, and the reason why would either save their marriage or destroy it forever. Theo Ashford and Naomi Barrett had what most people called a modern marriage.
Really?
Naomi, 29, was a senior software engineer at a major tech company in Austin, Texas, pulling in a six-figure
Awesome.
salary and working long hours.
Take it.
Theo, 27, was a freelance photographer who worked from their home,
Freelance.
taking on projects sporadically but never making quite enough to be the primary breadwinner. They'd met 3 years ago at a friend's art gallery opening. Naomi was immediately drawn to Theo's quiet confidence and artistic
Really?
eye. Theo was captivated by Naomi's intelligence and ambition. They married after a year of dating in a small courthouse ceremony. What Naomi didn't know, what Theo had never told her, was that he was transgender. Theo had transitioned at 18, nearly a decade before meeting
Yeah.
Naomi. Testosterone therapy had given him a deep voice, facial hair, and masculine build. He'd had top surgery at 20. At 24, he'd had bottom surgery, phalloplasty that created male external anatomy. By the time he met Naomi at 25, he looked and lived as any other man. His legal documents all said male. Theo had made a choice early in their relationship.
Yeah.
He simply didn't mention his trans history. It felt like ancient history, irrelevant to who he was now. Naomi never questioned
Oops.
it, and Theo convinced himself that omitting the truth wasn't the same as lying. Theo had kept his uterus and ovaries. The phalloplasty had given him male external anatomy, but internally, those organs remained dormant under testosterone for nearly 10 years. Organs he never thought about, until the loneliness became unbearable. The
Really?
first year of marriage was blissful, but gradually, Naomi's career consumed more of her time. She'd leave
Wow.
for work at 7 a.m. and return at 8 p.m.,
Wow.
exhausted and glued to her laptop. Weekends meant catch-up work and client calls.
Yeah.
Theo spent his days alone in their two-bedroom house. He'd work on photography projects, edit photos, take walks around the empty neighborhood. But the silence was deafening. He'd scroll through social media seeing friends with children, chaotic, messy, exhausting, but never lonely. He'd watch parents at the park during his walks, their lives filled with purpose and noise and tiny hands reaching for them. Theo wanted that. He wanted someone to care for, someone who needed him, someone to fill the hollow echo of his days. At first, he mentioned it to Naomi. "Have you ever thought about having kids?" Naomi barely looked up from her laptop. "Maybe someday. I'm focused on the promotion right now." Someday became
Really?
Naomi's answer to everything. Someday we'll take that vacation. Someday we'll have more time together. Someday we'll start a family. But Theo was drowning in his today. One sleepless night, a wild thought occurred to him. What if he could get pregnant? He'd had bottom surgery. Yes, his external anatomy was fully male. But internally, he still had his uterus and ovaries. He was on testosterone, but he'd read about trans men who'd stopped hormones temporarily and conceived through IVF. It was rare, medically complex,
Yeah.
but possible. The idea terrified and thrilled him simultaneously. Naomi would never agree to it. She was too
Ooh.
focused on her career. But
Yeah.
what if Theo just did it himself? Theo made an appointment with Dr. Lena Morrison at a fertility clinic 30 miles outside Austin, far enough that no one would recognize him.
Awesome.
"I want to get pregnant," Theo told her, his voice shaking. "But I need to do it without my wife knowing." Dr. Morrison frowned. "Theo, that's ethically complicated. Why the secrecy?" "She's not ready for kids," Theo explained. "But I'm home alone all day. I'm lonely. I want a child, someone to care for. She'll understand once it's done." Dr. Morrison reviewed his medical history. "You've had phalloplasty but retained your uterus and ovaries. You've been on testosterone for nearly 10 years. This is medically possible, but complicated. You'll need to stop testosterone for several months to allow your reproductive system to reactivate. Then we'd perform IVF using donor eggs and donor sperm, with embryo transfer through your cervix. Will it work?" Theo asked. Your uterus appears healthy on the scans. It's possible, but there are no guarantees. After
No
weeks of counseling
communities.
and
Wow.
ethical discussions, Dr. Morrison reluctantly agreed to help. Theo stopped his testosterone injections, telling Naomi he was taking a break for health reasons. She barely noticed. For months later, after his reproductive system had reactivated, Theo underwent IVF using donor eggs and donor sperm. The embryos were transferred directly into his uterus through a medical procedure. 2 weeks after that, the test came back positive. Theo was pregnant. For the first 3 months, hiding the
Oh.
pregnancy was easy.
Yeah.
Naomi was so absorbed in her work that she barely looked at Theo. Morning sickness? He blamed food poisoning. Fatigue? Just
Fatigue.
feeling under the weather.
Food
But by month
poisoning.
4, Theo's belly started showing. He wore
Yeah.
oversized hoodies constantly, even in Texas heat. When Naomi asked
He
why he
being
was always
Texas.
covered up, he'd deflect. Just feeling bloated lately. Theo wanted to tell her. God, he wanted to tell her. But the timing was never right. Naomi
Yeah.
was stressed about her promotion. Then her mother got sick. Then there was a
Wow.
huge project deadline. Theo
Wow.
kept waiting for the perfect moment that never came.
Yeah.
By month 5, his belly was undeniable. He avoided Naomi as much as possible, staying in the guest bedroom claiming his back hurt, changing in the bathroom, wearing layers even to sleep. The secret was eating him alive, but he was terrified. What if Naomi left him? What if she couldn't accept this? It
Yeah.
happened on a Tuesday evening. Theo was making dinner, chicken stir fry, Naomi's favorite, when a sudden, sharp pain tore through his abdomen. He gasped, gripping the counter. The pain intensified. The room spun. Theo's vision blurred, and he collapsed onto the kitchen floor, unconscious. Naomi came home 20 minutes later to find her husband sprawled on the tile, the stove still on, dinner burning. Theo? Oh my God, Theo. She called 911, her hands shaking as she checked his pulse. At the hospital, Theo woke up in the ER with Naomi gripping his hand, her face pale with terror. Dr. Sarah Kim entered the room with a strange expression. Naomi, could I speak with you privately? Anything you tell me, you can tell my husband, Naomi said firmly. Dr. Kim hesitated. Theo, your blood work and imaging show something unexpected. You're approximately 22 weeks pregnant. The words hung in the air like a bomb. Naomi's hand dropped from Theo's. She stared at him, her face cycling through confusion, shock, and something that looked like betrayal. Pregnant, Naomi whispered. That's impossible. He's a man. How in the hospital room, with nowhere left to hide? Theo told Naomi everything. About being transgender. About having bottom surgery, but keeping his internal organs. About the IVF. About the unbearable loneliness that drove him to get pregnant in secret.
Yeah.
Naomi listened in stunned silence, her face unreadable. When Theo finished, Naomi stood up. I need air. She left the room. Theo sat alone, tears streaming down his face, his hand on his belly where the baby, their secret baby, was moving. Naomi returned an hour later, her eyes red from crying. I can't do this, she said quietly. Theo, you lied to me about who you are. You got pregnant without telling me. My parents, my family, society, nobody will accept this. A pregnant husband? They'll destroy us. I can't. I can't stay. Please, Theo begged. I did this because I was alone. Because I wanted a child, a purpose.
Yeah.
Because I love you but you're never here. I needed someone.
True.
Then you should have talked to me. Naomi shouted. If you wanted a baby, we could have discussed it. I could have gotten pregnant. You didn't have to do this insane thing. You couldn't have, Theo said quietly. Naomi froze. What? Dr. Morrison ran tests on you during our initial consultation. She called me privately with the results. Naomi, you have severely diminished ovarian reserve. Your chances of getting pregnant naturally are almost zero. She told me not to tell you unless absolutely necessary because she knew it
Wow.
would devastate you. Naomi's legs seemed to give out. She sat down hard in the chair. I can't. I can't have children. The doctor said you'd need extensive fertility treatments with very low success rates. I
Yeah.
didn't want you to
Wow.
carry that pain. I thought if I got pregnant, I could give us the family we both wanted without you knowing you couldn't. Naomi put her
Wow.
face in her hands and sobbed. You carried this secret to protect me? I did
Yeah.
it because I love you. Because I was lonely. Because I wanted our child. And now you're leaving me anyway. Naomi stayed silent for a long time. Finally, she looked at Theo's rounded belly, visible now without the layers. There's really a baby in there? Our
Yeah.
baby, Theo whispered. Not biologically, but ours. A daughter. Naomi placed her hand tentatively on Theo's belly. The baby kicked, and Naomi gasped. She's
Oh,
real. Naomi breathed. She's real. And she needs us. Both of us. Naomi's tears fell onto Theo's belly. I don't know how we get
oh,
through this. The questions, the judgment, my
yeah,
family. We face it together, Theo said. Like we should have from the beginning. Naomi looked into Theo's eyes. You're still my husband. You're still the man I married. And somehow, you're carrying our daughter. I'm still me, Theo said. I've always been me. My body is just doing something I never expected it could. Naomi nodded slowly. Okay, okay, we'll figure this out. Together.
okay, okay.
The remaining months were difficult. Naomi took family leave from work. They went to couples counseling. Naomi told her parents, who reacted with shock but eventually, reluctantly accepted the situation. Theo's dysphoria during pregnancy was intense. His body's changes triggered difficult emotions. But Naomi was there every step, attending appointments, holding his hand, reminding him he was still the man she loved. At 38
Good,
weeks,
good, good.
Theo delivered a healthy baby girl via C-section,
Oh,
the only safe delivery option given his anatomy. When the nurse placed Luna in Naomi's arms, she looked at Theo with tears streaming down her face. She's perfect. You gave us someone perfect. Theo, exhausted and emotional, watched his wife become a mother. We gave each other someone perfect.
yeah,
Theo resumed testosterone immediately after birth. His body gradually returned to its masculine baseline over the following months. The house that had once been so lonely was now filled with Luna's cries, her laughter, her chaos. Naomi reduced her hours at work. Theo photographed every moment of their daughter's life. They learned to be
oh,
partners, not just roommates with separate lives. Today, Luna is 14 months old. Naomi and Theo are stronger than they've ever been, forged
oh,
through secrecy, betrayal, forgiveness, and
yeah,
love. Theo is still a man. He had bottom surgery, lives as male, and is Luna's father in every sense.
yeah,
He's also someone who carried his daughter because loneliness and love drove him to do something extraordinary.
yeah.
So here's my question. When isolation pushes us to desperate choices, how do we balance our needs with honesty? And can love survive even the deepest
Yes,
secrets?
like
What would you have done
sometimes.
if you were Theo? If you
I'll read you that something.
were
Yeah.
Naomi? Drop your thoughts below. Because sometimes the silence of an empty house is louder than any confession.
Woo,
And sometimes the greatest gifts come from the most unexpected places,
yeah,
even from a body we thought could never create life.
woo. Wow. That was is well. What no idea that he was punished, but that got us. The link to the video will be the description below. Go and check them out and drop a like if you like. And comment below if you want to see more reaction like this one. And subscribe if you're new and click the bell so you can be notified for a minute blog in my bye. Wow.